kindly subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to come and let's gain knowledge together. The English subject is quite an easy subject to tackle. Anytime you have any challenge, always feel free, pose a question, and I'll always be ready to answer you. And welcome. Yeah, so clauses. So a clause is a part of a sentence. Now, a clause is part of a sentence, not the whole statement. It's a part of a sentence that either can stand on its own or maybe cannot stand on its own. Now, I have to demystify that in the sense that when we say that it can stand on its own, we have what we call independent clauses. A part of a sentence that can stand on its own, we call them independent clauses because they can give or they can convey a complete thought. And we have what we call the subordinate or the dependent clauses. Now, these particular clauses are clauses which cannot stand on their own. They need some support. They need extra words to be added for them to convey a complete thought. So, here we are talking about clauses. And the first one that I want us to tackle today is what we call the independent clauses. Now, as I have said just right now, some few 4 or 5 sentences ago, is that an independent clause is one that can convey a complete thought, is one which can give meaning on its own, which can stand on its own. So guys, here we are. You're going to realize that it has a subject and it has an action. Now here this is the subject, this is the verb, and it has what the subject is doing, maybe the predicate. Are we together? So in a very simple way, let me just write it so that you might see what you have here. What you say, just a statement or a group of words that can stand on their own. Now let's look this particular examples here. We left home. We, subject, left verb, home. Home, in this particular statement, we cannot call it an object in the real sense, but it can be an object. So we can just say here, we left home. Let's leave this one aside. Let me construct one for you guys, which is simple for you to understand. The students arrived late. Now, from where you are, does this statement express a complete thought? Does it express a complete thought? Can it stand on its own? Yes, it can stand. Or it is standing on its own because the students arrived late. Wanafunzi walichelewa. Walifika hapa kama wamechelewa. Now, this one is a complete statement. It's an independent clause. Now, just another one maybe to clear maybe doubts and some other things here, just a bit. My parents live in Mtwapa. My parents live in Mtwapa. That statement is complete. It is expressing a complete thought, as you can see. Now that's what we call an independent clause. Now we have this the other side of it. which is the dependent or the subordinate clauses. The subordinate clauses, as we have them here, the subordinate clauses cannot stand on their own because they cannot convey a complete thought. They cannot stand on their own. That's why as you live, as you do your own things, always ensure that you complete different things and you do different edges. So as you can see here, still we go on to do some extra work and maybe construct few details and statements. What you do next is come up with sentences. Just to show the subordinate clauses, statements or parts of sentences that cannot stand on their own. We have, and one thing that you're supposed to know is these particular sentences, or these particular parts, they are introduced by subordinating conjunctions. Now, the child arrived before it started raining. The child arrived before it started raining. So I'm going to ask a very simple question. Which part here is, or which word in this particular sentence is a subordinating conjunction? And you're going to say before is a subordinating conjunction. So for this part, which you are adding that is the subordinate clause, it's a clause that cannot stand on its own. So before it started raining is the subordinate clause because it has been introduced by a subordinating conjunction. As simple as that. So, girls, so let's continue with our lesson. Let's see what we have here. After she abused me, what you need to have is like a knowledge, a particular knowledge that tells you what the examples of subordinating conjunction, the examples of subordinating conjunction. We have so many subordinating conjunctions, and for you to be able to pull out the knowledge and where the subordinate clause begins from, you must know where the subordinating conjunction is. Now, we have this first format of writing this statement. Then there's another one, the same sentence. Let's say we want to have it, maybe in an inverted form, where the subordinate clause begins the statement. You have the child arrived before it started raining. That is the marking point. When the subordinate clause begins a sentence, there must be a comma here. If you do not have this comma here, even if you write the correct statement, you will not be correct. So, as I told you earlier, punctuation is very key in these exams that you do. So, let's go on to other types of clauses that I want just to teach you right now, apart from the subordinate clauses and the independent clauses. There are some other clauses that I really want you guys to know. Just in a minute, I pick up the notes. So guys, again, sorry I had to come up with the notes myself. The other types of clauses that I want us to check, they are called relative clauses. And I believe you've heard of these particular clauses over and over, or maybe at some point you heard them being taught. In our class now, I want us to know that relative clauses are clauses that are introduced by relative pronouns. And the relative pronouns which introduce the relative clauses are here. This is a list of relative pronouns that introduce relative clauses. Now, we have to realize something else. Relative clauses, they function as adjectives in sentences. Relative clauses function like adjectives in sentences. What do I mean when I say they function like adjectives? Basically, they give us extra information about the subject. That's what our relative clauses do. Now, the first pronoun is who, whose, whom, which, and what. Those are the relative pronouns that introduce these clauses. Now, I have some examples here that I've come up with right now. The lawyer whose car was stolen has been arrested. I've seen questions, and many questions, where students have been asked to just identify the relative clause in the exams. Most of them, they can't get it because they don't know where or which part is a relative clause. So here, basically, the part, this part here, the lawyer whose car was stolen, that is the part which functions as an adjective. That is the relative clause, because I can say the lawyer has been arrested. But which lawyer exactly are we talking about? The lawyer whose car was stolen. Good. The priest who called me. Just who called me. Now, I can say the priest is Dan's uncle. It's very correct. It's very stable. It can stand on its own. But apart from that, because we are in relative clauses, who called me? The clause, the part which is introduced by a relative pronoun is what we refer to as a relative clause. The tree that was cut has been sold. I can say the tree has been sold without this part. But the tree, and again you're going to realize that where you use that, you can always use which. That and which can be used interchangeably. I can say the tree which was cut has been sold, or the tree that was cut has been sold. So this part is what we refer to as relative clauses. So, if you have any question, come down in the comment section and ask your question. I'll be ready to answer you. But just don't forget what you have done today. Feel free, ask the question, and I'm so sure you're really going to learn one another. Yes, so thank you for your time. Have an amazing afternoon.